ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Doomcast number 66. It is 66, what a creepy number. It is the 13th day of November, 2014, Thursday, and I, of course, am joined by my co-founder, my friend, Doug Owen, co-founder of Doomcast, doomcast.com, founder of blacklistednews.com. Doug Owen, how are you?
Hey, man, good to be back with you.
It's good to be back with the living, my friend.
Well, yeah, you're here. You're here. Do you remember the last show that we did together?
Well, kind of.
I bet.
It was, I'm telling you, brother, it was, I've had 2 months of absolute sheer living, I want to drop the F-bomb, hell. And I finally, epiphany, I walked away from everything. I told you before the program, maybe some of the guys on live stream heard what was going on. I had medications for medications, and this for anxiety, this for, the litany of medicines that are for asthma. Many of them are these emergency type bronchodilators that just get you jittery as crap.
And speed.
Basically, and then you crash hard after it. And I had enough. I woke up this past Friday, actually this past Saturday, and I'm like, I feel like crap almost every single day. I am done. So you in the audience know about these specialists I'm going to see, and in consulting with these professionals, I wanted to know the absolute bare minimum the bare minimum I could be on that is going to keep my lungs open so I can breathe and I can function and I can move on with life until I get down there and get the proper treatment. Now, everything's being held up right now by insurance. As a lot of you know, I also have VA claim going on that really doesn't have anything to do with whether I go or not, but it would sure help in the situation if that came through. However, I'll be going down there within the next few weeks, probably 4 days, and I'm completely confident, especially after talking to their staff who understand the different dynamics of all respiratory disease and all respiratory illness, and it's this shotgun effect or shotgun approach where multiple doctors and multiple disciplines are looking at it. I'm completely confident that if nothing else, even if it's a worst case scenario, you burn crap too long, you were in burning oil wells too long, and your lungs are screwed, I'm completely confident I'll at least have a path that'll keep me able to function. And so over the last week, it's just been detoxing all this crap out of my body. And long about, I'd say Tuesday evening, I just started to feel amazing. And I sent Jeff a message saying, listen, Jeff Rince on the Rince Radio Network, I'm feeling so much better. I've still got the Denver thing ahead of me, but I've just changed everything as far as what I'm doing now to try to maintain, and I'm jumping back into it. So I did my program yesterday with Gabe from Austin Marcoin. I did it tonight with Eric Lovely. I have a couple videos that are already shot that are going to get published. I'm back on Doomcast. I'm just full of energy to where I wasn't. I was just lethargic, depressed, Owen. Depressed. Because it just everything was compounding, and nothing seemed to be getting better. Everything seemed to be getting worse. So it's been just all natural. One medication that I have to take in order to keep the lungs open and clear, and it's working wonderfully, even in this sub-zero weather that we have going on here right now. So I'm extremely optimistic. I'm extremely glad to be back, and level-headed. So. This is it. Let's do 66 and do it right. And, here we go. I'm back.
We're back. We're doing it. Yeah. The reaction was mixed to the last show. It was the first time that I ever had anybody call the text line 512-222-3067 with all of your thoughts and everything that you want to bring to the conversation. You can always do that. Had one guy said that he just listened to the show and that we should take it right down, that we should just get rid of it. Please take it down. This is horrible. If I were you, I would take it down. Other people were... No.
It is what it is. This is life, and this is, what can I say? It is what it is.
Right. No. Yeah. Oops. Sorry. Yeah.
No,
It's. I was just playing a button here. The I guess consensus was that even though you were somewhat befuddled and pretty drugged up, that you still made a lot more sense than Sean Hannity and other people, even in the alternative media. So we actually got an outpouring of donations, supports, well wishes, concerned people.
They sent
lots
them all
of
to you.
yeah. Oh yeah. They're like, oh yeah.
We're not going to support this guy and his crazy.
Well, I don't
listen,
think it was that, but
yeah. Well, listen, I never visited a doctor other than military until I was 41 years old, and I'm 45 now. And it's certainly, I mean, I've never even had, never Tylenol before that. And, you know how long I've been fighting this respiratory illness. And, you see, if you see 7 different doctors and you get 7 different medications, man, sometimes it's just hard to know what is right and what you should do, what you shouldn't do. And if you mention, hey, I'm worried because I've had 3 trips to the ER in the last year from asthma, and then suddenly, okay, well, here, this is what I want. I want you to take this. This is lorazepam, and what you're going to do is if you start to feel anxious, you take one, and it'll calm you down. And, it does, but it also just turns you into, I can't take, a zombie. And so, and I've interviewed plenty of people on the program that have talked about the pharmaceutical industry and how dangerous it is. And you and I have talked about it, how it's beneficial it saves millions of lives, but also you get on that roller coaster and, crap, man, it's it's a rough ride sometimes. And, when I decided enough was enough, that was it. And, there was people talking about lorazepam highly addictive, and I never had more than 1 prescription of it. And that's it. I mean, I didn't even finish it. It's all gone. Whatever. If I get
so don't send you emails asking for all the rest, like some of the listeners may.
It's properly disposed of. And if I get, this is the thing. If I get stressed out, if I get this anxiety rolling, first of all, I've learned steps in order to, if an attack is going to a place that's dangerous, not to wait too long. Go ahead and drive up the emergency room, do your emergency inhaler and all that. And if it clears up, fine, go home. If it doesn't, walk in and get it handled. So that just knowing and having a plan relieves a lot of stress and a lot of anxiety. But the other thing is, talk to somebody. And that was the thing that I was missing out on. I would be sitting here just dwelling on it, and I could call you and say, "Hey, what's up, buddy?" and just talk it down, talk it out of it. So I don't know. It was quite the learning experience, and I know now that a lot of people that come on and talk about the dangers of overprescribed and multiple prescriptions, they're 100% right, man. That stuff. There's stuff out there that you start relying on it. You could be in a lot of trouble.
Oh yeah, and a lot of people do. A lot of people do, and a lot of people were, I think, very concerned because of that, and because they probably had people in their own lives that have had to deal with that. And
I have. I mean, I've got family members that are that are basically MIA. Because of I've got my brother, excuse me, who's 11 months younger than me. Him and I grew up together, thick as thieves, and he was in the Gulf War I, and he was in Gulf War II, and he's in Afghanistan, and he comes back and he's a vet that's kind of messed up, and the medications start rolling in for all these different things, and he's who knows where he's at now. He's off in the oil field somewhere trying to eke out an existence. But it's a horrible, horrible thing, that's happening to a lot of veterans and just people in general. But it's always the answer. It's always the answer when you go in and you have something that's bothering you. If it's not a cut on your arm that they can throw a suture in, you're probably going to get a script for something, and you really got to consider what you're doing.
Right.
And think of the long-term consequences of it, especially if it's nothing that's going to go away right away. I'm not talking, Tylenol 3 for a toothache. I'm talking something that is persistent, like what I've been dealing with. And
people
like
that
I
have
said,
back pain are prime candidates for addiction because it just doesn't go away, and you're just constantly on the dole.
I know. And I know some of these people that have a occupational injury, and they a disc goes out in their back. Well, I'm not going to say who, but I'm going to say I have someone very close to me that has degenerative discs in his back because he had spent years on prednisone, and I mean score of years, like 20 plus years.
Wow.
Because of rheumatoid arthritis. And the poor man is basically now, I mean, yes, the arthritis was somewhat kept in check, and it gave him several years where he could function. But now degenerative disc to where he's bedridden virtually. And, the only thing that will ease the pain is morphine. So this is it, man. You're going to spend your life. It's horrible. You're going to spend your life, the rest of it, taking something in order to fix or in order to mask the results of something else. Now, prednisone is not in and of itself addictive or doesn't affect you mentally, but it certainly does take a toll on your body. It'll break down your bone, it'll thin your skin, it'll hurt your vision. And if you're on it long enough, you end up to the point where you're needing something like morphine in order to survive, in order to cope with the pain. And so downward spiral. You got to consider this when you're being asked, to pop this for an extended period of time or take that for an extended period of time.
Yeah, I mean they're fine for temporary, pain relief, and this is the thing I don't think a lot of people got is that. With you, it was, life or death. That's what a lot of people were just not getting is that if you weren't on this, there's a good chance that you would be dead, that you would, and people understand that you are, you've been at the hospital and that you've had near-death experiences. We've been doing the Doomcast for just a little over a year in 6 weeks, and I don't know how many times you've come close to the end, and so for a lot of the casual listeners, they don't understand that. And for those that were genuinely concerned, I appreciate it. That's great. And for those of you that just thought I was whacked out, you know what? Listen to this one because this is me. And since we've been doing Doomcast, I've had 2 ambulance rides and 1 visit to the ER. All 3 were visits to the ER, all related to asthma. The first one and the second one, let me restate. The first one was not probably preventable because I'd never had an attack that bad, go that fast and go that south that fast to where I couldn't even get in the car. The second one, unfortunately, my son was here to call the ambulance and they got me hooked up to a nebulizer full of albuterol right away in the ambulance, which, kept me going until they could, shove a needle in my arm and start pumping me full of steroid. And that's what they do. That's what they do when you have a severe asthma attack. The second ambulance ride was preventable. I didn't follow the plan I had in place, which is if you're having an attack and you do your albuterol and it doesn't work, it continues to get worse, you don't wait and do another one. You just get in your car, you go to the emergency room, you sit there, you do your next treatment, and if it works, you go home. If it doesn't work, you walk in and you say, I'm having an asthma attack, I need to see somebody. I didn't do that. The third one I did, and fortunately, I didn't have to have a $1,500 ambulance ride. I drove up there, and it continued to get worse. And I walked in, and it was the same treatment all 3 times. But that in and of itself. Now think about that for a minute, Owen, and people listening. I had a friend recently at work who had a heart attack, and he was shopping with his wife, and he feels a pain in his chest. And they just because he's pushing 60 and it's something unusual for him, he decided, and his wife decided, well, we're gonna take a ride to the emergency room and we're going to have it checked out. Well, they put an EKG on him and he's fine. There's nothing wrong. The EKG is normal. But as he's sitting there, they take the EKG machine off, or the tabs, the probes. And as he's sitting there, he tells the doctor, oh, it's hurting again. And he orders the EKG machine hooked back up.
and he's having a heart attack right there and then. Within 2 hours, there's this, they cut into his groin and they go up I think it's a femoral artery, and they put a stent in his artery so he can get this blockage relieved and stop having heart attacks. But he comes to me at work a few days later, and he goes, "Hey, I want to talk to you," because he knows that I've had these experiences that are very, very scary. And he says to me, he goes, "Hey, Charlie, I'm full of anxiety. This is weird. I worry all the time. I worry when I drive by myself. I worry when, we go out to dinner that it's going to happen and, I won't have the right time." And I get that. And for people that haven't been in that situation, it's terrifying. I've been shot at before when I was in the Gulf. That's scary. But the unknown, I'm going to have a heart attack. I just had a heart attack and I could have another one. I just had a near fatal asthma attack and I could have another one. That kind of anxiety is very, very difficult to deal with. And the clinical or the medical solution is we're going to give you something, Xanax or lorazepam or something like that. And when you start having these anxiety, panic attacks, we want you to take it. And it works. It does. It calms you down. But in my case, it zombified me.
Yeah.
And I don't know what I would have done, Doug. If I'm so zombified and I'm having this panic attack because of asthma attacks, and I have an asthma attack while I'm a zombie, I'm going to die because I'm not going to have the wherewithal to get my butt up to the hospital. So, yeah. I mean, it's a scary thing. So, I've been talking with some people in fellowship, I will say.
Fellowship, what's that all about?
Well, church groups and friends that are believers and that I can talk to.
Unlike Doug Owen, who is a skeptic.
You're a believer in the cast, brother.
In the cast? What does that mean?
In the Doomcast.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'm with you there. I'm with you there.
So, and there's ways to deal with it, and I knew better. Have a plan. Work the plan if you're having these issues. Talk to somebody. Do a reality. Do an inventory of what your situation is. I'm breathing. Right now I'm breathing. Yes, it's getting tight, but I can do X, Y, and Z in order to stave it off. And if I can't, then I've got time to get up there and get the help I need. So I decided that's it. No more chemical solutions to problems that can be handled otherwise. The only issue is, and this is a warning to anybody, the only issue is you're going to have to search yourself to find these solutions to this kind of a problem, because you're not going to get it when you go to your urgent care or your emergency room, because they're going to give you a chemical solution. And, for a lot of people, that's great. For me, not so great. I just as soon figure out how to cope with this in a different way, a way that allows me to still have energy and still have drive and still have wherewithal to do what I love to do, which is, my radio program, my videos, and of course the Doomcast. So that's the explanation of lorazepam 65. And I appreciate all the people.
I think that a lot of people probably enjoyed the show more because of that, because they're like, oh, I'm going to bang Charlie about being all hopped up on drugs. And, there was a lot of people saying, well, when I listen to the Doomcast, I expect to get, cutting edge analysis and want to,
Well, then don't listen to 65 because you ain't going to get it.
No. Well, I don't know. I mean, it wasn't as bad as it could have been. It could have been a lot worse, really. Really, it could have been a lot worse.
Listen.
So we're on the new rig today. You want to finish up?
I was just going to say, this is life.
Right.
And life is what it is. Everybody has trials and tribulations. Don't know when I'm sure you've had trials and tribulations.
No. Everything goes smoothly for me. It's always perfect. I never have any problems.
And I'm sure everybody listening has never had any kind of issue, or loved ones that had any kind of issue. And it's not, it is what it is. And I would never take it down. I mean, this is, for me, if anything else, if I ever think, well, maybe I'll do this again. No, I can go back and listen to 65 and say, no, I don't like that. I didn't like the way I felt. You know,
Right. Right.
and it wasn't just 65. I mean, it was before that. It was, you know, these solutions that were kept getting given to me that were just zombifying me, and I hated it. So, like I said, it was a clean break. Even though some people warned me that, I don't know, that's such a good thing to do. I'm like, you know what? I don't care.
I mean, this show hasn't been a platform for trying to wake people up per se. Oh man, I'm messing with this thing. I should just leave it alone. Walk away from it. Quit messing with it, Doug. You should just walk away from the machine. Walk away. Walk away. Oh man,
you're adjusting your voice, aren't you?
Yeah. See, I'm trying to do something, but it didn't work out very well. Let's see. That's no good. This isn't that great. If I turn that down, if I turn that down, turn this up, turn that way, turn this way. There we go. That's a little better. Anyway, yeah, we're on the new rig today, and no matter how much money we spent on this thing, there's no way to make you sound sober. That was one of the jokes. There's no way to make Charlie McGrath sound like he's making any sense right now. And so I was like, that's kind of witty. That's kind of witty. Here, I'm going to reset my sound. All right, now we can turn up the bass and turn up the treble, and then now I sound like a regular guy again. Beautiful. So yeah, we've been messing with this a little bit before and after the show.
We messed with it for 12 minutes. The live stream heard it.
Yeah, I've been messing with it for about a lot longer, and it hasn't worked out too well. But it's not. There we go. Back to where I wanted to be before I started playing with the knobs.
I've got a producer Craig 33 update for you. He didn't know if he was going to be able to listen live to the show. I'm not sure he's listening now. I think he is.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I saw the message and I didn't see. Yeah, 7:29. So he was going out deer hunting this evening, and he sent me a message saying, "No deer today, maybe tomorrow." Oh yeah, listening. So right there. So sorry, Craig. Here in Montana, it's well below zero right now, but we got some snow, so I plan on going out Sunday and hopefully can find me some fresh venison.
Below zero. Below zero. So cold out there, Craig. So cold.
Look at you with your cool stuff.
I can do that to you, too. I can make you sound like that, yeah? I can do it.
Below zero.
Wait, hold on. Give me a chance here. Give me a chance. I'm just, I got to turn that on. All right, go ahead and say Oh, that's not good. Ooh,
I don't think that worked.
No, that didn't work. Here, no, I'm not trying. I'm trying to do you, not me, from the PC. Maybe it's because I'm coming from. Okay.
Check.
We're in mono delay world where we have dense reverb.
You're really soft. Your output's very weak.
It's weak. I feel weak. I feel weak. And
come back to the light.
Hello.
No, stay away from the light.
I think I'm in the K-hole. I am in the K-hole. I have been snorting Oxycontins. Wait, that's what people accused you of last week. All right. Anyway.
I've never had Oxycontin in my life.
And then neither have I. Any of the narcs I've ever done have always made me itch, and I'm just not a big fan of that.
I had 2 teeth pulled once and had hydrocodone, and I didn't like the way that made me feel either.
Yeah, it's just I mean, it's not that I have anything against it. That I'm some people. Oh, well, it's not that. It's just I'm just not into the feeling. It's not a pleasurable feeling. I like drinking beer. I like other, I guess, chemicals, but
you don't have to go into that on air.
Yeah. I mean, I like beer, and I like the way it makes me feel, but I've never liked the way Oxycontins or any of those things that I was ever prescribed for any kind of pain ever made me feel. So big news this week, something that conspiracy theorists have been talking about for a long time, Charlie McGrath, metals manipulation, golden metal manipulation. And
I talked about it last night quite in depth with Gabe
Elton
from Austin Recording. Yeah.
So what's the deal? I mean, if they can, I mean, what's happened is that there has been emissions by UBS, Barclays, Citigroup, HSBC, JP Morgan, and RBS that they have been rigging the Forex. That's the foreign exchange market. It's paper gold. Basically, if you don't want to have real physical gold, or if you want to put your IRA into gold, you can buy paper gold that's not real, that is allegedly, it's a derivative, but allegedly it's somewhere, and that you're actually buying into a vault. And just like the fiat reserve currency of the world, the U.S. dollar, it's been fractionalized, and $2.4 billion is what these banks are going to pay for market rigging but it's much more than just market rigging. By manipulating the Forex markets, they've been able to suppress the price of precious metals, and this has been used as a political tool. And I've been waiting all week. I was like, oh man, maybe I saw silver at 15 something per ounce.
You gonna jump on board?
Well, I was thinking about it, but I was pretty unenthused with what the markets did. I thought that they were going to jump up, or there was going to be some kind of correction, or that maybe the people in London that get to make the gold prices every morning, the people behind the curtain might have, I just thought that there might be some kind of correction, that we might see a spike in the prices.
Well, I don't know if you're giving it enough time to make the call that we're not going to see a spike.
I just mean initially. I thought that there was going to be one like lickety split today.
Well, it didn't happen.
Why not?
Why is? Excuse me. Hold on. You got me crying.
I got you crying.
I'm all choked up when you talk about metal. Why not? I mean, why is silver trading at $15 an ounce? I mean, that's the question. It's obviously been suppressed. Now they're paying fines for it. We had, like I said, I had talked to Gabe Elton last night, and he was speaking of an audit of the comics when one of the investors for, I think it was the University of Texas, Doug Owen, was going to invest billions in gold.
You talking about the Hunt brothers?
No. That's a silver thing from way back when they drove up.
Yes,
the price of silver.
And it didn't work. The government came and said, no, you can't do that.
Right.
And then
They tried to corner the silver market. Anyway, the comics has been eyeballed before by people that wanted to spend a lot of money with it. And one individual that I think it was University of Texas or Texas A&M, maybe, I'm not sure. But an investor affiliated with them said if 4% of the people who own gold stood up and said, we want our gold, it would crash. It just isn't there. Just 4% of the all the certificates and all the derivatives that are surrounding that stood up and said, we want our metal, that it would shut down because they just don't have it there. And why should this is what kind of bugs me about the gold and silver people, right? I consider myself to be in that class, I guess. But
you people out there, be careful when you say that.
Use peoples.
You gold bugs out there.
Yeah, I don't mean it in a disparaging way, but everything is a derivative, right? The mortgage markets, everything that can possibly be traded and retraded, and then insurance policies taken out on the failure of that. Anything that is tangible is fractionalized and then resold and sold, over and over again. So why shouldn't it? I mean, why should it surprise us that currency markets are rigged, that precious metal markets are rigged? It really shouldn't. Now, if you're holding the real deal, if you're holding silver or gold, you ought to be somewhat excited about this news, because inevitably you're hoping for the day that the realization comes that it just isn't there. And then you start to see these massive, massive jumps in your precious metal. And in talking to Gabe last night, I did question him on it. I said, you know what? I got a lot of friends that are sitting on thousands of dollars in precious metal. And, they all have the same question, which is, what the heck, man? It was $22 when I bought silver, and now it's at $15. What should I do? And, this is what he does for a living. He sells a lot of it. And he's like, well, the spot price can be whatever it wants to be. Try to buy it at that. He goes, he was telling me that they were paying up to $6 an ounce over spot in order just to get the metal to resell it. So, the actual physical gold and silver, nothing has changed from 2008 and Ron Paul and Peter Schiff talking about precious metals, or even Greenspan, who was a gold bug 20 years ago, and it looks like he's starting to be a gold bug again. Yeah. Nothing has changed. Manipulation continues. The scarcity of the metal itself continues. So you're basically waiting for the day that reality comes home. Right. Just like the people who are waiting for the day of the big financial collapse.
Right.
Debt is extended around the world. It's exploding around the world. But until it's realized, it's just business as usual.
Right. Oh, yeah, there's a lot of that. And people, I think that they believe that, well, if you have a calculator and 2 + 2 = 2, or 4 rather, then, there's not enough. There's no way that we can ever pay back the national debt. There's no way that the physical gold or silver that is in ETFs and in derivatives can ever exist. It's just it doesn't exist, and it's a huge Ponzi scheme, and it's completely manipulated. So I'm one of the people that sees that and says, well, I mean, obviously the high priest of society, these people are able to manipulate this, and so you can't use common sense. You can't. I guess you can use common sense, but you can't necessarily rely on just the metrics of math to play out for you. You're not going to necessarily get the payday that you're wanting, because that payday might not be coming for years, maybe even longer. And when it does happen, this is what I think a lot of people totally miss out on, is that while you're waiting for the end of the world, while you're waiting for everything to come crashing down, the world keeps moving on, everything keeps moving by, and everybody's moving by you. Right. And so that's why I don't think that precious metals are a great investment, because they don't pay dividends. They don't give you they give you security, and they do give you a little peace of mind in case the world comes crashing down, this manipulated fake world we live in. But other than that, I mean, I don't know how much it's going to benefit you in the short run. And that's what people have been. This is the problem. There's so many people out there telling them, well, this is the only thing you should put your money into. But I wanted to get back to Greenspan's comments. Not that that we're encouraging people.
But before you do, I want to comment on that a little bit, because you're right. And like I said, this is somebody that likes metals. I like them.
Right.
But you do have to face the reality that when the realization happens that we're short everything, and we're oversold, some estimates 250 times in gold what is really in existence right now. Right. When that crap hits the fan, you got to realize, your metal is going to be worth a lot, but the world is going to be a different place. And it might be, you're getting a wish in one hand, but you're getting a nightmare in the other. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. I mean, Greenspan, he made some pretty interesting comments, and we might as well talk about them. We've teased them. He went to the Council on Foreign Relations. There was a glitch. I don't know if you heard about the Greenspan glitch last week. The public might have noticed there was a controversial missing section from the official transcript of Alan Greenspan's interview with the Council on Foreign Relations, where he dared to utter his honest opinion that, quote, gold is a currency. It is still, by all evidence, a premier currency. No fiat currency, including the dollar, can match it. And that, definitely, I think, worries people when they hear, Alan Greenspan making these kind of, remarks. So much so that they actually clip this out. And they're saying, well, it was just a glitch. The Council on Foreign Relations, where he made this public, which is interesting in and of itself. Again,
Doug, does this surprise anybody in our community that these individuals like Alan Greenspan and these too big to fail CEOs, they know what gold is?
Well, he's written books on it and talked about the manipulation of the metals markets, and how that bringing the dollar off of the gold standard would allow people to manipulate and to really bring about a fiat currency, a true fiat currency. And so, if you read his books, and I've read excerpts of it, he
loves gold.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's a big fan.
That's his history. When he was the head of the Fed, obviously he had to toe the line, which is, naysay it, poo-poo it. It's an archaic investment, or it's a currency of the past. But these guys know. They know what could happen with fiat currencies around this planet, with debt around this planet.
You got to be careful, though. Have you heard the latest about fiat currencies? Gold currency. That is what ISIS wants. That is what ISIS wants. So this came out this week, and if this isn't, I don't know, a complete psyop against using precious metals and daring to listen to Alan Greenspan, maybe a direct threat to Alan Greenspan. It says now ISIS wants to introduce its own currency, plans to bring back solid gold and silver dinar coins announced in Iraq mosques. And we don't know, this is pretty much the MO with most of these bad guys, number one and number two, al-Baghdadi, and what's the head of ISIL? ISIS is
Baghdadi.
Isn't it Baghdadi? Is that his name? I forget. There's so many of these different, characters.
Al-Baghdadi is the head. Well, he's the head of ISIS.
He may be dead. He may be dead, but if he's not dead, he is working on a new currency. Now, this is what it makes me laugh, because I can't imagine this guy. Okay, number one, he's running a global intelligence network, if you believe such a thing. And he's got time to sit around and pontificate about central banking and new currency systems. Yeah. I mean, the advisors this guy has, you would think that he would be giving a lecture at the Council on Foreign Relations. But no, he's out there. ISIS wants to introduce its own currency and plans to bring back solid gold. The Middle East terror group apparently wants to introduce its own Islamic currency as part of its attempts to solidify its makeshift caliphate. Militants are said to want to bring back the original dinar, which is an ancient currency from early Islam, and religious figures in Mosul and Iraq's Nineveh province have apparently announced its return in mosques. Blah 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 blah.
Is the takeaway here? If you is there a nexus between if you're into gold and silver, then you're flirting with terrorism? You might be. I mean, if it's you ride alone, you ride with Hitler. Remember those? Some of you might be old enough to remember that. I've heard. I know the propaganda from World War II. They for carpooling or whatever, they want to save gas. Right?
Yeah, you got to save gas, or Hitler's going to come and kill you, kids, and that's just a shame.
So there you go. You have Greenspan, his comments slipping out. And it being hidden by the CFR.
Yeah, hidden. Slipping out is a perfect analogy for what happened. It slipped out, and nobody wanted that to really slip out.
And then the nexus between terror, you're a terrorist if you're into, and you don't have to come out and say it. You could just, the most gruesome beheading terror group in the world likes gold and silver. Right. So there you go. That's all the nexus you need.
Yep. Yeah, it's pretty funny. I mean, just all this happening at the same time, where you have all of these banks that are working in collusion. The central bankers
will not be denied.
They will not be denied, or will they? No, they will not.
The central banker would not be denied.
Oh man, that's way too loud. Sorry.
Still my fave.
Yeah, sorry about that.
It wasn't too loud. It was great.
Well, maybe to you, it was shooting me. Oh yeah, it stuck a big red bar up on mine.
Okay, well, here's the deal. I don't know if the stream sounds this way, but your volume is low now to me.
Really? Yeah, I'm playing with stuff. I shouldn't be doing this during the show, but, we work on the fly sometimes. We work on the fly. We make things happen.
I got a story I want to talk about. A couple. Do you have more on this, by the way?
No, not really. I mean, I've got some other stories that are kind of relating, but not. Yeah, this is a good time to shift.
All right. Well, I'm going to shift a little bit because, like I said, I now that I'm head clean, I have started making videos again. I have a couple that are already done. I just got to do some editing on them. But one,
nice.
Yeah, the video has to do with a couple stories I pulled off your website.
BlackListNews.com. Which ones?
Well, it had to do with veteran police officer Steve Rabinovich giving his endorsement and giving his defense of the Department of Defense's 1033 program. And for those of you who don't know what that is, that's the militarization of your local law enforcement, to where you see the MRAPs and you see all the these guys look like a military. They look like a Navy SEAL team. Your police force, rather than to protect and serve, they look like they're ready to go to war.
They're police warriors. They're ready to go to war and engage the enemy. And you just have to wonder, well, who's the enemy? Is that me? Is that you? Is that my children? Yeah.
Well, that's a question I pose. he gives his defense, and it's basically three reasons, right? A better equipped police department is a police department that can better protect and serve. So,
but who are they protecting and serving, and what the hell are they serving? That's what I want to know. I mean,
exactly. Well, my question is,
boots to the back of the neck.
If that's the case, if the better equipped police department, then do we give them, drones and F-16s and M1A1 Abrams and the latest military hardware? Because then we would be so safe, we'd be so protected and so served, we wouldn't know what to do with ourselves. But, that isn't what we see. The reality is we see this military hardware being used like they're, adolescents who got a new toy that they want to play with. So they're serving, warrants with an MRAP. Or they're terrorizing and shock and awe with this military hardware. His second reason, number two, violent. And this is, Doug, you cover news every single day. So do I.
I do.
And people listening to this are in the know. His second reason is violent anti-government groups are targeting police. And in that statement in itself, I think back as far as I can remember, having a website, having a radio program, doing the videos, I don't ever remember one case of an anti-government group, some militia that is going to go that has targeted police. Do you?
Yeah, there was that guy that he and his wife went out to the Bundy Ranch, and then they killed those police officers, and they draped them in they called them Nazis, and they put a Nazi armband on them.
Oh my God, you're right. That's wasn't he done up as the Joker?
Yeah.
Joker picture. All right. Okay. So
there's a bunch of them. There's a bunch of cases of people that subscribe to conspiracy theories, and believe you me, I'm not one of the people that is supporting this or thinks that this is actually the threat that they make it out to be. Even if these things are organic, which I doubt they are.
Yeah.
The proportional danger that police have to themselves. Actually, the police have never. There's never been less violent crime in this country.
I want to get into that because that was the rebuttal in this video. But let me give his third reason first. And the anti-government groups, right? This nut job that was done up as the Joker, that wasn't a group. It was a lunatic.
Right.
Right. And if that was organic, he was a lunatic. If it, and like you said, you question whether it was or not. But every single case isn't a group. It isn't like, these guys are meeting on Saturday afternoon so they can, plan the next attack. It's usually, if organic, some lone, or I shouldn't say lone, but some individuals that they're just completely out of their minds.
Right.
And we're a nation of 310 plus million people. That's going to happen. His third reason, steady increase of violent crime against police and domestic terror. And the rebuttal is what you were just about to get into. So go ahead.
Well, there's a new study out saying that there's a lot of violence against people, but it's not against the police. It's actually the inverse. It's actually more police against people than people against police by far. So people are actually less violent. There's actually less violent crime that police have to deal with.
Right.
And so that's just a bunch of hooey.
It is a bunch of hooey. In fact, the FBI this week came out with a report showing in the last year, violent crime is down 4% in the United States. That brings it to a 40-year low of violent crime. All this crap about, too many guns and gun violence, it's at a 40-year low. Manslaughter is at 1968
We need
levels.
more gun control. Charlie McGrath, more gun control because everybody's out of control.
Well, in 1994, there was 194 million guns in this country.
Right.
And since that time till now, it's been on a steady, violent crime has been on a steady decrease, now at a 40-year low. So, at this time, in 1994, like I said, 196 million. In 2014, over 300 million guns in the country. So it seems the more guns we have, the less violent crime that we have.
Well, and I don't even know if that's true. I mean, it's not to say that we don't know why. It's not because necessarily people are buying tons of guns. I mean, that might have something to do with it, but it could also be that people are less violent or less inclined, or that the government's doing a good job deterring us from wanting to commit crime because there's all sorts of negative consequences. People might just be getting to the point where they don't care as much about, there's just not you can't get away with anything, number one. So if you're a criminal, I mean, good luck with that. You're not going to get very far with your violent crime. It's just not going to, we live in a police state. We live in a total surveillance state. I think people recognize that. I think that those kind of things have had an impact. But at the same time, I don't think it's because more and more people have guns, but that's a good deterrent. I mean, here in Texas, you look at violent crime compared to other places where people do not have the right to have a gun, and criminals know there is a 90% probability that you don't. That's a deterrent. And you can't always point at that number because maybe it's just because here in Texas we have a better economy, and so you don't have as many people. So I hate to use these statistics as weapons for our.
Well, why? But I do believe that if you're going to make a rebuttal argument to the militarization of your police, of the police forces across the country, you have to use the government's own statistics that show that it's at a 40-year low. I mean, regardless of whatever the reason.
Unless you want to, you want to push your own agenda, and that's what it's all about. These people are pushing their agenda. It doesn't matter what the truth is. It doesn't matter what the numbers say. Right. It's all about getting you to buy in, and it seems reasonable. Well, I guess you do need a tank. I guess the government does need a tank because here in Mayberry, it's just so violent, so bad that there's just nothing else that the government can do. That they just can't keep us safe without having police cars with missiles on them.
Well, it looks like it's coming. The argument, though, I mean, the fact that this DOD 1033, the Department of Defense, turning these police forces, and it isn't just big metropolitan police forces, it's across the country, towns of 50,000 people, where they're seeing these soldiers, police soldiers, start to manifest.
It brings us to another story that came out of the New York Times today, and I apologize for playing with this freaking thing during the show here. It's just kids and their toys. Kids and their toys. I don't know this.
Doug, you got to quit. Listen, you got to quit playing with your thing on.
I know. You got to stop doing drugs on the show. I got to stop playing with knobs. I know. You brought it. You know why they need the tanks? You know why they need the assault weapons? Because they are going shopping. The New York Times had a pretty interesting piece, and this is something that most of the listeners are pretty aware of, and that is asset forfeiture. This guy, Harry S. Conley Jr., have you heard about him? He's from Las Cruces, New Mexico. He has a seminar called Little Goodies, where he teaches cops what type of property they should covet and seize. So he tells them things like, don't bother with jewelry. It's hard to dispose of. Computers, everybody's already got one. You want to go after TVs, cash, cars, especially nice cars. So he gives a seminar telling people, the cops, what kind of shopping that they should do. And he calls it Little Goodies. And it's, it's really pretty crazy. But anyway, this from the Times. Mr. Conley was talking about a practice known as civil asset forfeiture, which allows the government, without ever securing a conviction or even filing a criminal charge, to seize property suspected of having ties to crime. So this is the story. This is what happens to people all the time, Charlie McGrath. Your son goes to school. Some other kid, he's getting paid $1,000 to tip out friends, or maybe he gets in trouble and he says, well, Charlie's son gave me a joint. He sold it to me for $2. They give him a gift card, and they can come to your house on that and less than that, less than even a tipper, and take your home, take your bank accounts, seize them, take them and put them into their own little pockets, go shopping through your stuff, and you almost have no recourse. It is amazing to me. And this ties in with another New York Times article. I have to give it to the Times. Law lets I.R.S. seize accounts on suspicion, no crime required. So this is what police departments are doing, but they're just learning and going to seminars and learning from the best. Of course, the I.R.S. for almost 40 years. Carol Hinders has dished out Mexican specialties in her restaurant, and she She had her checking account without any kind of warning. She had $33,000, which I don't know. That might be the magic number. We may have to give that a
33,000.
We might have to give that a ding. The IRS agents did not accuse Ms. Hinders of money laundering or cheating on her taxes. In fact, she has not been charged with any crime. Instead, the money was seized solely because she had deposited less than $10,000 at a time, which they viewed as an attempt to avoid triggering a required government report. How can this happen? So at $10,000, the government, the bank tells the government, this guy just deposited some money. But if you got $8,000 because you sold a car or whatever, it doesn't mean that you're trying to hide government reporting or hide your money from the government, because obviously it's pretty hard to do that. But it's just one of.
I would say that the vast majority of the people of this country make deposits that are under $10,000.
I do all the time.
I do too. As a matter of fact, I don't know if I've ever made one that was over $10,000.
I'm trying to think. I don't think I've been fortunate enough to get into that.
So
world.
she must have had something that some algorithm picked up, where she had these $8,000, $9,000, $7,000 deposits, and it triggered. And so they just said, "We'll take her 33
No,
grand."
it didn't trigger. It didn't matter. They just they saw these deposits, and I guess they were just shopping. I don't know. Maybe she had a nice car. Maybe she just got caught up in some bureaucracy. But the point is that it's not even that they seized her money. It's that going on a year and a half, they're just so brazen and have such a disregard for humanity in general that they have not given her her money. She's just asked out. She is just waiting, and this is how companies, people are destroyed. And the IRS,
Absolutely.
we know, is a very agenda-driven agency, and that in just the last year, we've seen revelations that the government has used the IRS to go after political enemies and those that the state deems to be unforgiving of the Obama administration's small indiscretions, blah, 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 blah. It's rabble rousers, Tea Party guys, those people out there, the crazy Tea Party people, those guys. So anyway, it's just another example of, the complete lawlessness and I think illegitimacy of the IRS. And I'm glad of these stories and police departments across the nation. You mentioned the 1033 program. 13 states have now refused to disclose how many tanks and assault weapons that they have. So, Muck Rock, which is a clearinghouse that puts in FOIA requests. It's a bunch of lawyers. It's a consortium that tries to get to the bottom of what's happening out there and, try to figure out, tell us, Missouri, how many of those tanks have you taken from the government? And you would think that if like this guy said, they needed them and it's well justified, that they'd be more than happy to tell us about all the tanks and things that they need and how, they need more money. They need more time, and more, tax dollars to engage the American people. Anyway, that was one of the ones we had in the basket. And did you hear about the new ag nominee? She has seized $904 million in private property through what? Civil asset forfeiture. So, bringing this full circle back to the economy, it does seem like that the government is getting ready to kind of purge people, and they're hiring people that are experts in, taking the American people's money. So if they're not doing it through deceptive, central banking tactics, they're just coming to your house and taking it.
Come and take it, yeah. And which goes all the way back to that Steve Rabinovich, who is trying to be an apologist for 1033 and the bill.
Oh, yeah.
This, Doug, everything you just went over there with all those stories, the asset forfeiture conference, everything that you mentioned previously, can all justify why you want a militarized police force, because they're coming to take your crap, and they're just going to do it. And and the police are part of. They're in on it. They want their fair share. They're even having seminars to tell them what kind of things to go after.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, it's just so brazen. It's just I'm kind of blown away by it that they would actually put together little packages and teach people how to do this. But it's just the world we live in. Princeton says that we're no longer in an actual democracy. I thought that was pretty interesting. I mean, I've known that for a while. You've probably wondered if we live in a democracy for quite some time now, Charlie McGrath. And
I think we live in a democracy. I think we've not lived in a republic for quite some time.
I don't know about that. I mean, if you look at the voting public, this is the lowest turnout ever, and the left says it's because people couldn't vote and the Republicans have kept you from voting. There might be something to that, but I think that there's also a lot to the fact that there's no difference between the left and right. There's no point in really.
Well, it could go hand in hand with why violent crime is down. Maybe people they just don't care.
Yeah,
they're just over it. They're just bellying up to the bar, or they're turning on their football or whatever. Just they don't want.
No.
Sorry,
that's what I do. That's what I do.
Well, but you also do something about it every day. So
I try to.
Through your efforts, but so I think it reflects that people are. And that's a fact. It's look at people were upset by the financial scandals in 2008, and it's just gotten worse since then. And it's hardly even talked about. People were upset with Bush because of weapons of mass destruction and expanding the war in the Middle East. Now we do it on a daily basis. Now we're sending drones and killing people every single day. Nobody's talking about it.
You bring up a great point. The reason that people the reason that people aren't voting Democrat is because they voted for Democrats to take care of the stuff like closing down Gitmo, bringing affordable health care. I mean, have you heard about Grubergate? This guy, the Obama architect that went on a terror.
Stupid to understand it type guy.
Yeah, telling the people here, and don't worry. I mean, this is applicable to anybody across the pond and around the world that that you're too dumb to think for yourself and to see through Rush Limbaugh's plan to keep you paying actually more. Right. And it was just I'm not going to play the clips, but you can find them, and they're all over the web. But the guy saying that, well, we can't tell people that their money, their premiums are going to double. We can't tell people that all the young people that are not using healthcare are going to be forced to pay for the old people because we've stolen all of the money. I mean, come on now. It's funny because he says it's a political tool, and it absolutely is, keeping people dumbed down. But that he said that voters are dumb because I would imagine they're ignorant of what they're voting for. So the people that actually voted for the law did so only because they thought that Barack Obama and the Democrats and all the people in government that brought this to us we're trying to do it for our benefit,
for our own
good, because and here's the thing, this just shows you how delusional people really are, that you ever thought that you were going to get a cheaper deal on your insurance once the government started putting mandatory or mandates on insurance companies, that somehow that was going to, and I get this all the time. Well, Doug, we're already paying for all the illegal immigrants. We're already paying for those prices. And it's like, okay, so you think that if this goes through that you're going to pay less at the hospital for your health care? You really do think that you're going to pay that much less? I mean, how dense are you?
You're going to pay more. I mean, we didn't get, nationalized health care.
No.
We got mandates to buy insurance. There's nothing that even remotely looked like we were going to get lower healthcare costs when this thing was rammed through. I mean, and you know what? He's not wrong. I mean, the people that were suckered into this, just Nancy Pelosi saying we got to vote for it, or we vote for it and pass it to see what's in it type thing. Of course it was going to be a boondoggle. Of course it was going to be laden with special interest goodies. And of course, the people are going to pay the price for it. And, healthcare costs have done nothing but skyrocket since the Affordable Health Care Act has been passed. And it's going to continue to skyrocket. And so have insurance premiums. I know mine have, and everybody that I know that's in business, theirs has. I know there's people that have benefited from it, from the Affordable Health Care Act, but it isn't like we are going to mandate you buy a product from a private corporation and then suddenly that private corporation is going to just start dropping their pants, or that the thing that they're insuring is going to start falling through the floor, which is healthcare cost. And in fact,
now that you're forced to buy it from us, we're going to drop the price because we love you that much. I mean,
yes, thank you so much for buying from me.
But we have to pass the bill so that you can find out what is in it.
Yeah, and you wait, because you're right. We got 11 million baby boomers a year that are retiring, right? And it might even be more than that. That was a statistic from a couple years ago.
Yeah.
But you have the millennials that are coming out of school with $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 in student loan debt that can't find a freaking job that's better than $12 an hour. So they're loading up with debt. They're loading the millennials up with debt, and then they're going to ask them to pay for all these retired folks that number's growing. I mean, we're just becoming an older and older nation. The healthcare system is absolutely overloaded, and it's going to continue to be. And care is going to suffer. I mean, there's no other outcome that can happen. The care that you're going to get is going to be watered down, because it's just going to be so expensive and so prohibitive for most people to get the best care possible. And trust me on this. This is something that I know a little bit about only because of what I've been going through.
Yeah, you guys out there are paying for Charlie's health care, and it's very expensive. Sorry.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Your volume's down a bit, bud.
Oh, yes.
Quit messing with it.
You know what? I'll figure this all out by the next Doomcast.
It is. I mean, it sounded great. It just
No, I turned it down to you because I didn't want to blow you out with this other.
Oh, I thought maybe I was yelling too much. And
are you yelling at me, Charlie McGrath?
No, I'm not yelling at you.
Okay.
I'm not yelling at you.
Fine.
In fact, talking about
fine.
You're toying with it now.
Yes.
All right. I had one story I wanted to talk to. Talking about healthcare costs. I spoke to a friend today, in fact, whose sister is suffering from MS, and horrible disease, and her medication to keep her from getting worse, and it is helping her. $28,000 a month.
What
is what?
$28,000 a month. I mean, it doesn't even sound like it could be real.
It's real. Trust me, it's real.
Wow,
And
that is crazy.
Yeah. Well, I'll give you. You want a personal story? It isn't $28,000 a month.
No,
but the one lung medicine I'm on now that is keeping my lungs open and me breathing. You would think that something like $200-$300 a month would be outrageous.
That seems reasonable. That seems like it wouldn't be like that big of a deal. A couple $100 maybe.
Yeah. Okay. I went in to pick up my supply of it, and like I said, this is the one and only thing I'm playing with now, and it's fantastic as far as giving me the ability to come on here and talk and maintain my breath, maintain my air. I went and paid. My copay was higher than typically when I pick up a prescription. It's usually $5 or something like that. Well, it was 40. And I'm like, wow, $40, that seems like it's gone up a little bit. And she goes, well, it's better than paying the cash value of it. And I'm like, well, what's the cash value of it? $1,600.
What?
$1,600 a month for this, fairly common medicine that goes into your nebulizer that keeps your lungs open. So healthcare costs, including pharmaceuticals, are absolutely extraordinarily out of control. And it promises to only get worse. Most people, they don't know that. They don't know that that their prescription that they're picking up that they just paid $5 or $10 for really costs somebody somewhere $400 or $500. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. It's amazing. It's just it is freaking crazy how much money they're charging us.
Yeah, it is. I'm terrified to see what Denver's going to cost. I mean, part of me doesn't care. Because I want.
So I mean, but it's covered, right? I mean, they're going to take care of you.
Well, covered's a
relative term.
Yeah, it's very much relative. It depends what your insurance company decides is worth covering. and then a percentage of that, and then what's reasonable and all that in their eyes, and so you end up fighting him if you want more coverage. But if you go to the doctor long term, and I think you've had a little bit of experience with this, you never walk out of there with 100% covered. It's just very rare. You're getting a bill. You're getting a bill from somebody.
Right. Always getting a somebody, getting into the pockets of you. The insurance company, it's always a battle. You have to battle to get anything out of them. It's just it's so frustrating because you have a procedure done and they'll take care of 2 or 3 different things, but then it's your your prescription. Oh no, we're not going to pay for that. We'll only pay for so much of this or so much of that, but very rarely.
You have a procedure done, and it'll say, well, we'll cover 80% of it, but we're only going to cover 80% of what we think is fair and reasonable. But
the last one I think that we had was the anesthesiologist. They wouldn't pay him. They would not do it. No matter what, we could not get him to pay the anesthesiologist. It was just
you're just supposed to take the pain while they're doing some procedure on you. Is that it?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Right. That's exactly what you're supposed to do. You're just supposed to shut up and take the pain.
Take the scalpel and shut up. We're back in the Civil War times. Here's a stick to bite on.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it was like. So it was like, okay, well, I guess I'm paying you a lot of money for nothing, right? Is that what you're saying, basically? And they're like, yeah, that's exactly what we're saying. You don't get crap.
Well, I know we're pushing over an hour now, but I was hoping you would get in a little bit about. You touched on amnesty and covering illegals and all that, and that's coming up pretty soon here. And it looks like
they're going to do what did he say? He's going to have an executive order ready for all of those new Democrats. I mean, that's how dense these Democrats are. They believe that Mexicans are going to come across the border and other South Americans are going to somehow vote, and they're going to do it because they're going to vote Democrat because of the Democrats have been so wonderful to them, and they're just so out to lunch. Okay, number one, most of those people, once they have to start paying into the system, don't find it nearly as advantageous as they once did. And immediately, once they start having to pay 40, 50, 60% of their money to taxes, the whole thing about being an illegal alien, what's advantageous is that you don't have to pay these things. You don't have to do
get
these
the service for nothing.
Right. That's the whole point. And so the Democrats think that, okay, well, these guys are going to be good Democrats in the very near future. And it's like, no, they don't want anything to do with any of that. You just don't get it. And it's frustrating to me because it's like, come on, guys, use a little common sense. People, they're here because they can live under the radar. They're like, oh, they're living in the shadows. That's what they want to do. That's why they're here. That's why they can make money. I mean, they don't want to be on the dole. They don't want, they might want a bank account. They might, want some of the peripheral things that we have. But for the most part, they don't want to become good Democrats. And that's what they think. Right. I mean, they really do think that stuff. So I don't know.
Yeah,
it's just,
I don't, and I think it's completely racist by the Democrats to assume that if they're Latin, if they're Mexican or Central American or South American, that they're going to automatically become Democrats because, I don't know about, I mean, obviously you have a larger Hispanic population in Texas than we do here, but we do have one, and they're entrepreneurial in nature. From all of them that I've known,
right,
that have had their own business, be it construction or whatever, and they lean certainly more conservative once they're
paying into the system. For sure.
Exactly. I mean, I think anybody that would say that that's a lazy group of people coming to this nation so they can sit back and get fat. They don't. I mean,
who's saying that? I mean, I don't know anybody that says that, but
I think you hear some. I think you hear some banter.
From the not here. I mean, I think that if you see the illegal immigrants and what they're doing and how much they're contributing in a lot of different ways, not necessarily great ways, but as far as getting you cheap homes and cheap construction work. I mean, I don't see all the people that bitch and complain about all of the illegal immigrants, and I do think it's a problem, but most of them are they still wouldn't, pay double for their home. If somebody said, okay, your $200,000 home is going to cost you $400,000 to have American workers that pay taxes do this, would you go ahead and not?
Would you be patriotic and take the hit?
Yeah. Would you just go ahead and just double it up because it's the right thing to do because it's going to help America? People are like they would balk at it, and most of them do. And so I mean, it's not that I don't think it's a real problem and that we don't have real issues, but my issue is that as much as people talk about it, people put your money where your mouth is, and right. And here's the other thing. I mean, have you ever had a class of people that would work for less money, that don't get to vote, that aren't part of the system, and even though that they might, they probably do get all of the bennies and government goodies. It's only because people are reaching out from the government into these communities and begging them and giving them booklets and sending propaganda to Mexico telling them that this is their country and that they should come here and take it back. I mean, it's a really complicated situation. But right. I think when you look at what's happening in Honduras, you look at what's happening in Mexico, you can look right back at Al Gore and the NAFTA agreement and how that has destabilized the South American continent. You can look at Carlos Slim and how he and most of the oligarchs became rich and became these power brokers throughout South America. And it was through NAFTA, because NAFTA regulated the different businesses that could be part of the free trade agreement. And most people, 90% of Americans have no context. They don't understand the history behind that and how we actually got to the place we're at today. But the problem is that we're short-sighted and we don't see how decisions that were made just 10 years ago have turned into huge issues that we're dealing with today. Case in point, Honduras. We supported the coup that overthrew their elected government, and so you have violent gangs and a bunch of oligarchs, and the people are being raped and pillaged, and they're like, let's get the hell out of here. And it's only the affluent people that have enough money to spend $20,000 to $30,000 to send their kids here.
To get the coyote to get them across a couple countries.
It's a big deal, man. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money.
The cartels are making a lot of money off being coyotes. They're I agree with you. This thing is it's politicized, obviously, and it's polarizing.
Here's the thing. They're not bankrupting the country. The country's already bankrupt, and it doesn't matter.
I agree with that.
I
agree with that. 100%.
They're not sucking it. Oh, we were going to balance the budget if it wasn't for them. That's not true. It's not true at all. So I think we'd balance the budget if it wasn't for the ones who are making the immigration issue a political football. If it wasn't for the politicians kowtowing to special interests, we would have balanced the budgets. We wouldn't have this economic situation we have now. It's just one more distraction that's going to cause more division and more hostility towards American against American, or in this case, American against cheap labor force, and more divide and conquer rhetoric. That's what we're looking at. Yeah, absolutely. So I try not to buy into it too much. I'm not for people coming to this country illegally and sitting on the dole and getting sucking it up. But at the same time, I think that if we have a system that offers it to them, then don't blame the victims. Ultimately they're the ones that are getting they're victims, just like all the other people that are forced to put into the system. So
right.
It's easy to blame them, but not to take away from it. You do have criminals, you do have illegal people that because of the system that we have today, that are able to basically come to this country, commit crimes, and leave here with no problems, with practically immunity. And you would think that the U.S. government would do something about that. And we have, we have a revolution going on in Mexico right now. There's a lot of people that are really upset about those kids being killed. There's kidnapped and killed.
The protesters are burning it down, man.
They're burning it down, and
they're burning it down.
They're burning it down. I'm messing with my freaking mixer here. That's the way the world goes.
This is an hour and 27 minutes.
Yeah, we got people to thank. We got some support. We got an anonymous donor from Montgomery, Alabama, for $50.
Really?
I want to thank him.
Wow.
He actually
Thanks,
sent us
Alabama.
a nice note, and he said that we needed to he needed to come up with a good name for himself. So before we identify him and give him proper credit on the show, so I want to thank him for that. It was a guy, and as I touch it, all right. So there was that. We also got $75 from. Let's see, I didn't put the name in here. Oh yes, of course, Ivana. Ivana says, "Hi Doug, please accept this donation as an early Christmas gift towards your new mixer that I won't stop playing with. It's probably to the detriment of the show, but don't worry. Next week it's going to be all better. This is for your Saturday radio show and 24/7 news updates. So much is appreciated." So that goes into the bucket. And then we had James and our friend Giovanna, who is across the pond in Italy. And it says, I wrote them back and thanked them, and says, "I always look forward to the podcast, which I download and listen to on the train." So more and more commuters are listening to the show and taking it with them. On the subject of last week's Doomcast, even in a mildly befuddled state, Charlie still talks a heck of a lot more common sense than most people you hear on the radio shows today.
Oh, I love her. Look at that. I love her.
Well, that was James who responded. But,
I love him.
Giovanna, but yeah.
Okay.
So that was a little nut for the mixer and some well wishes. So that's nice. That's nice. Did you get anything?
Can I didn't. I don't have anything and nothing to report. Sorry, but I'm obviously they're supporting. It's still coming in, so that's great. Did we cover the cost of the mixer?
No, not even.
I didn't think so.
No,
I didn't even think so.
No,
Yeah.
but that's okay. I mean, the return on something like this, it's going to depreciate. So you're going to have to look at it over a year or two.
There's so much more stuff I want to talk about.
Like what? Like what? Charlie
like
McGrath
U.S.
is right.
actively considering combat troops in Iraq. We had the promise, and I'll just be brief on this. This was from antiwar.com. We remember the promise of Obama. There's going to be no combat troops there. Now it's just, the election's over. It expands, oh my God, they want gold and silver currency. We got to send in the troops. And,
Right.
Ron Paul said after this election, we will have boots on the ground. And he's 100% correct. It's being pushed that, depending what you consider combat troops, we're already there. But, a full-fledged invasion force, that is definitely something that I think is on the horizon, Doug Owen.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, why wouldn't it? Why wouldn't it be? They've been hyping up this ISIS threat as a way to go after Bashar al-Assad. That's been on the cards for quite some time now, and that is still on the table. So I don't think anything's changed there. I think that they're going to do everything they can to rape and pillage and continue to have a footprint in the Middle East. And this is all about really Russia, isolating Russia. That's what the Ukraine was about. I think that, in my estimation, my analysis of looking at everything, the broad overview, I think that you have the same thing with Syria. This is another way to isolate Russia, their biggest partner in military affairs, their biggest customer of military weapons. Just today I saw that the French have finally been pushed into not delivering those ships to the Russians. So
I saw that.
This is aggressive posturing. And
after an invitation for they sent an invitation to the secretary or the whatever they call them in Russia, the minister of defense, to come to this launch, then retract it. And Russia is saying if this is due to pressure from NATO and the United States, there's going to be stiff penalties to pay. Of course that's what it is. France is being ordered not to provide these helicopter carriers. So, you're right. And we saw Russia this week,
which is stupid because it's gonna they're gonna go ahead and just make them themselves. Same thing with the SWIFT system that's going to be coming this May, I think, April, May, this spring. They're going to have their own SWIFT system. They're going to have their own new markets and the new banking system that they'll be intertwining with the Chinese,
which they just signed another mega gas deal with for another pipeline to go in through more westerly direction, but supplying China with much needed energy resources that they don't have.
Right.
So Putin he's making moves and we're making moves against him. I mean, that's very obvious.
Yeah. I mean, that's where we really started with Al Qaeda, was about going after the Russians in Afghanistan and supporting
Mujahideen.
The Mujahideen. They seem like such nice people. I mean,
they sounded cool when they were Mujahideen, right?
Right.
And it's kind of like who are the Iraqi group now? Oh, we were talking about them a few weeks ago.
The
Peshmerga.
The Peshmerga.
This plucky band of fighters, the Peshmerga, that we're going to arm to the teeth so we can fight again 10 years down the road.
Yeah, that's the one I wanted. That's the button. Yes. Yeah,
you got a little tinny on me there.
Yeah, I got a little tinny. I'm just trying to figure out this frequency. Having so much fun with this. Yeah, because, talking about ISIS is kind of silly because most of it's U.S. manufactured. Even if you buy into the story that the government is putting out there, it's really Henry Kissinger's buddy's fault, Paul Bremer, for disbanding. Well, I mean, let's not forget that, the invasion was pretty short-sighted and the plan was to just occupy the country forever. When you listen to, Victoria Nuland's husband and his brother, the Kagan boys, that was the plan. We're going to occupy them just like we have Germany and just like we have with Japan and post-World War II, and we're going to be there forever and ever, and we're never going to leave, and we can never leave, and so that's okay. We can disband the army and send, 300,000 armed troops off without jobs, and we'll see what happens with that. It's a great plan. And it's just this the American people just didn't understand, because just like with Obamacare, the National Affordable Health Care Act, okay, people were sold on this is going to be a short-term thing. They're going to be welcomed as liberators. It's not going to cost anything because the oil is going to pay for it. And people are like, oh, yeah, that's a great idea, Dick Cheney.
Clap. Yeah, it's let's all stand up and applaud.
Yeah. And so,
but you know what? His plan, I mean, that's what's coming to fruition. How long have we been there? We've been there since 1991.
A long time, my friend, a long time. It just we just can't get away. Just can't get enough.
My little dry erase board with my notes on it just fell over and hit the blue snowball. Yeah,
that's a bad sign, my friend. That's a bad sign.
I'm running without notes now. Oh my God! The Russians are sending bombers to the Gulf of Mexico. I'm just highlighting a few of these stories because I know we're running long here. You saw this, I'm assuming.
Oh yeah.
They're gonna fly in the Caribbean and around Cuba, and more hostility, more Cold War type tension building between the U.S. and Russia, as you pointed out, with the tactics that are being used on both sides. Really, I mean, Russia is going to claim the United States as an adversarial nation here soon. So
well, we kind of are. We have.
Absolutely.
If we're not, then I don't know what the hell we're doing. And here's the thing: it's kind of funny that that we see this as provocatory, but when we go with NATO to the Baltic states and other non-NATO members, and we do war games right there on the Russian border, they have the audacity to say, well, I mean, that's not provocatory. This is what we do with our friends and our allies, and these are peace missions. And it's like, okay.
And at the same time, we're supposed to crap our pants. We're supposed to crap our pants because Russia is loading more troops into the Crimea in an exact response.
And they might have nuclear weapons. They might be nuclear capable. They probably aren't. But
I used to get a lot of I got crap from you, Owen, about pro Russia RT supporter. You were joking.
No, I mean, I don't care. I'm just joking.
Yeah. No. I know, but I would, because I was on RT all the time, and I'm certainly not an apologist for the Russians. In fact, especially the history of Russia. Have you heard of a book ever called The Long Walk?
The Long Walk. Yes, okay. I have.
Yeah, I just about to finish that book, and it's about a World War II Polish lieutenant who was fighting in Western Poland against Germany, but because he was born in Eastern Poland, the Russians, when they invaded from the east, they took anybody that was living in Eastern Poland and basically arrested them as a spy. If they were living along a border town, they arrested them as a spy. And the torture tactics, it's all a true story. The torture tactics that were employed by the Stalin regime were absolutely. I mean, I knew it was bad, and I knew Stalin killed millions and millions of people. But the things that they used to do to their political prisoners before, try to get them to either plead guilty or, in a lot of cases, they just committed suicide because it was just so horrific. But fascinating book. And if those of you listening, if you want to see what a total totalitarian police state is capable of, read The Long Walk, and you'll get an idea of why, so many people, myself included, think that, this march towards an ever more totalitarian police state is something that's very, very concerning. When you have police forces, as you pointed out tonight, Doug, that are becoming more violent against the citizenry, and a citizenry that is becoming less violent overall, and that same police force is becoming more and more militarized, it causes pause, especially when you look throughout history when you've seen regimes that have not been afraid to use these heavy-handed tactics or this heavy-handed military equipment against its own people.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, I mean, you got to look at history. Otherwise, you're doomed to repeat it. And,
that should be on a T-shirt.
Yeah, they should. Somebody should make that a quote.
They should make that a quote. Are
we
wrapping it up? I'll wrap it up. You want me to wrap it up?
Yeah, might as well. Let's see. Freaking buttons over here.
We got us, I think it should be about an hour 20 Doomcast tonight. That's awesome.
Yeah, thanks for it's experimental. We're messing with the sound and messing with the audio, and obviously I've just totally screwed it all up. But that's live radio. That's why we do this thing, and we'll continue to do it. Please continue to support it. It's going to sound better next week, I promise you. And
I think it probably sounded great. We had a few interruptions, but everything that I heard that was being pumped out by your mixer sounds absolutely fantastic. So,
other than my audio that I've been playing with, but we can always improve.
Yeah, of course.
Always.
Play the music. Oh, wait. You got all the thank yous in. Anything else you want to hit before we... All right, my name's Charlie McGrath. I'm the founder of WideAwakeNews.com. My partner, my friend, is Doug Owen. His website is blacklistednews.com. If you want to contact me, info@wideawakenews.com. If you want to contact Doug Owen, please contact him at doug@blacklistednews.com. Jointly, we have Doomcast.com. You can see the latest episodes of Doomcast there, plus postings by producer Craig33. Thank you to him for all of his hard work, continued hard work. Thank you to the supporters. Please continue to give because it really shows that you appreciate what Doug and I are trying to do over here. All right, until next week, Doomcast number 67. We'll see you then. Peace out, y'all.